G'day punters, welcome to the deep dive. This has been an interesting weekend's worth of racing. I think a lot of the best of it was in Sydney, it has to be said, but there was some highlights all around the country, and Jackson Oldham, Shane Ciurleo, here to help me find any path through the narrative because it's been on overload the last 48 hours. Jacko, if I start with yourself, Bendigo, if I can sum it up in 10 words or less, how does it play so differently year on year?
Yeah, it's quite unbelievable. I came in expecting you want to be on speed and rails and run, and you couldn't win if you were in lane sort of 1 to 3.
We'll touch on Bendigo a little bit more, but anyway, the data's staggering there. Curls, welcome. Was there one highlight or low light that really sticks out in your mind from the weekend just gone?
Overall, the low light was Flasher winning at Bendigo and me not seeing it in. As for highlights, no.
No.
Oh, well, they raced in Sydney. That was nice, but we'll talk about that later, I suppose.
Okay, all right. So let's start with Bendigo then. So in terms of the track itself, lanes 1 to 4, you go to your punting form, wides, and over the last 400 metres, really the Cunning Fox was lane 4 out to lane 6, Gundeck was lane 3 out to lane 6, Nepean, or however you want to say it, was in the staying race first off the rank and managed to hold that inside, but that was really against nothing. You couldn't really win if you're in lanes 1 to 4 on the straight, and I think looking at the Golden Mile, we're talking about who might be best suited, and obviously Ironclad came out, and then we're looking at I Am Superman, and I think that run has enormous merit given that it settled behind Luna Fox that was beaten 27 lengths, and at no stage did it ever seem to get clear running. Cherry Tortoni was good and a clear best of the day performance, but Jacko, you're looking at this race in hindsight, and what do you take out of it?
Yeah, it's a weird one to sort of try and review. I thought, coming in, I thought Cherry Tortoni was going to be completely unsuited, and then it's kind of got the just complete run of the race, and it's held its price. So in hindsight, was it an easy bet to have? Probably, and I haven't had it, so that's disappointing. The map just got turned on its head, and it's run a strong figure like Cherry Tortoni here, and it's probably going to go wherever it goes. If it continues, it's next start, and it's probably going to be unsuited. It's probably going to be too short. So I don't think there's a heap to take out of this race, really.
No, I mean, look, there's a lot of horses here. In fact, the entire field's broken the class benchmark there. So, yeah, look, it's probably going to be one of those races where a lot of these horses might have a good platform going forward, but you then question what races they end up at. So you have to take it case by case, I guess, don't you? But, very fast tempo, it's always a good grounding for a lot of these. Looking at a few of the other races on the card, was there anything else that really stood out as a horse to follow or a good performance?
That's a great question. In terms of horses to follow, I thought Tinandali was really good, resuming in race 2. It's paid 101, like $101, but it's really nice tight from the yard, and I thought it hit the line really well. So it's probably a horse to follow. A lot of these were either like Coles Ridge resuming home track Bendigo Cup Day, or this is sort of end of prep. I don't think there's sort of heaps of horses that are going to come out of this and bounce off. Sort of Tinandali's probably one. But yeah, it was a bit of a ho-hum meeting. It was also windy as and about 10 degrees out there. It was not an enjoyable day out at Bendigo, it must be said.
And look, we are going to talk about the Maher Eustace team, and we've given them plenty of praise over the last month or so, but was there something did they just not turn up at all? There was a number of horses that they had relatively firm in the market that just did not perform.
Yeah, Cardigan Queen was sort of one of those. I thought walked not a lot, probably a lot worse than I saw at Flemington.
Yeah.
Sort of really went backwards out of the parade, I thought, and was a little bit unsuited. Probably the only race where you wanted to be on speed all day, apart from the staying race. even though the horses did get out into those wider lanes, was probably a little bit unsuited by the pattern as well. But yeah, I was expecting a pretty good parade, and I was going to probably have a bet off that. But yeah, paraded poorly, so I wasn't sure what to make of the camp.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, they literally didn't turn up because they were all in Sydney.
yeah, and why wouldn't they have been? Let's
Yeah,
face it.
Cool.
Anyone with half an idea was not out there at Bendigo on Saturday.
Yeah.
All right, let's head up to.
Excellent.
Well, Kells, do you want to touch on Flash R before we leave Bendigo?
Look, why not? I was singing its praises and said, like, if anyone's out there, I think I appealed to Bray. It legitimately did touch base with an associate of Bray's last year and said, try and buy this horse. It's trained. It's not, the training is, it was never trained by the person that was in the book as the trainer. A lot of owner influence, and it was always going to explode with someone that knew what they were doing. And I did not see it in Saturday. I had no clue it was in. I blame Jackson. I blame Jack Dickens for fucking retiring and not making me aware of this. Look, it's like 41s into 31s, pissed in, recorded the 6th or 7th fastest last furlong of the meeting. Like, I don't know what future races are coming up, but just back it for everything. Could win the Cox Plate. Could run second to Hitotsu in a Cox Plate. I'm telling you, this horse has got a motor. I'm telling you. I've been serious about this horse singing its praises for a long time. But it could go down south and do something. I'm just like, I cannot believe that this wasn't discussed. How did this not come up on the radar that it was in? I'm filthy on it. Anyway. One horse to follow. It's a horse to follow. Just wherever it goes. Stradbroke handicap, anywhere.
Whatever. Limitless. Fourth training team as well.
I'd be questioning the camp, sort of.
Oh, well, that's why it went around $31.
Yeah, but sort of deeper in a preparation. Like that could well be its peak. I just mentioned, but
yeah, well, maybe. I don't know.
Right. Well, let's go to Sydney.
Move on,
because that was where all the good stuff was, so to speak. We had Mr. Brightside winning at Doncaster, which is great because I backed it to beat Zaki in the. What was the race? The lead up to the All-Star Mile, whatever that one was, Jackson. Which Inspirational Girl one?
Yeah, the All-Star Mile.
Yeah.
It wasn't blaming.
Led on some like awfully slow tempo, and
Yep.
Here it is winning at 20s or whatever. It's great. And Fireburn still just kicking their heads in for the 2-year-olds, but Hitotsu, I guess visually was probably one of the better performances that I've seen just in terms of watching the race. The data itself isn't anything to write home about, but that's no real surprise because staying ranks and not a great tempo up front. But I guess the question we wanted to raise was, is Ciaron Maher and Dave Eustace, are they the best trainers in Australia at the moment? Curls, I'll start with you.
No, they're not, because they're not trainers. They're like a sports team.
Yeah.
Like they're certainly not the coaches. They're probably the co-captains. Probably like, Messi and Ronaldo playing in the same team, and co-captaining. Their structure, their how they operate, the white jackets, as I call them, the data team, obviously have been well documented, and Ciaron sung their praises a lot. It's a changing of the guard in racing, and these mid-sized trainers that don't adapt will die. The bigger will get bigger. They're the best operation. I'm sure there's probably better horsemen than Dave Eustace out there. There's, possibly that, can't get a horse.
Yeah.
Because those days are over.
It was funny. I was talking with a few of the guys on course at Ascot, and I was saying, well, imagine if Bob Peters decided to send his horses to Ciaron Maher Dave Eustace. It probably just wouldn't work because Bob's so old school in terms of, like, I want my horses to be prepared this way. We're going to go through, like, these races. We're going to follow this formula and just do this. Whereas, like, the Maher Eustace team are just going, well, like, we don't need to run Hitotsu 4 times to make the Australian Derby. We can just go first up, win the Guineas, go second up straight into the Derby. We've already clocked it on wet tracks. We know exactly what its fitness capability is. We know exactly what its weight is. We've got all this data and all this metrics, and it's like, bang, done.
20 years ago, and I think a lot of trainers will still be following it. Bart Cummings said that horses need 10,000 kilometres worth of runs in their legs before they can win a Melbourne Cup.
Exactly.
This horse will win first up in a Melbourne Cup if they want it to.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, doesn't it just look like a Cox Plate moral unless it goes up against Animo, which, knowing racing in this country, there'll be some bastardised way of it not happening. Again, this morning, the Villiers is now a $2 million race in December.
Come on.
Just in time to coincide with the end of the Perth Carnival. So the Perth Carnival's completely just stuffed now because there's all these races going the entire way through that are worth more money than the Perth Carnival. Why would you come here? Racing is so far up its own arse at times that you just wonder, how can you judge these?
The Villiers is the biggest dog shit race for that money. Yeah, I mean, surely they'll be assuming that there's going to be horses in work in December that they're going to target this race now. Like did Chris Wallard not have a $2 million race to race in December for his keeper numbers, and they just put it on for him? Like, give me a spell. You have a look at the honour roll of Villiers winners. It's a lot about timing. It's much about prize money.
Kubrick will be in it.
Will be.
Yeah.
There's a number of Queensland Open handicappers in the Star Thoroughbreds colours that'll be targeted for it now as well.
I assume they still
they'll run a personal best on the day.
Well, yeah, exactly. But I assume they still get the entry into the Doncaster. So then you're all of a sudden racing around in December, and you have to peak again in start of April.
It's strange.
Yeah. Anyway, who knows?
The Maher Eustace team will win. It'll be fine. But Ciaron Maher did suggest that Hitotsu, obviously they wouldn't be shy about targeting the Melbourne Cup, and then the Japan Cup's the logical, dream race to win overseas because of the breeding of the horse, and obviously the fast ground, the hard ground in Japan, which obviously you can't mention in Australia because people are allergic to the concept of racing on a firm track. But
meanwhile, the Japanese horses have taken over the world when they travel, winning everywhere.
If anyone hasn't realised that, if you're going to an international carnival, if you're going to, I don't know why, but if you decide to go on one of those racing tours to Dubai, and if you're actually allowed to bet in Dubai, I'm not exactly sure about this, but either way, you get someone back in Australia to place all your bets for you, just in case you get thrown into prison if it is illegal. But you just back the Japanese horses and everything.
Yeah.
It's really easy, isn't it? But personally, I would love to see Hitotsu run in Hong Kong in the Vase.
Oh, Jesus, it would eat them.
Yeah. He'd be up against some Japanese horses, the locals. I'd love to see him just kick Golden 60's head in. Honestly, if I've ever heard about a horse, we'll get to Nature Strip in a second, but Golden 60 is beating the same horses week in, week out.
20 times.
His peak punting form figure is 11.5, minus 11.5. If bring him to the Cox Plate, he'll run second last.
Is also an Eagle Farm that almost around 11.5 on the weekend. So, yeah.
We'll get to that later, Jackson. I have identified the next incentivize.
Sorry.
I know Bray watches this show specifically for these little snippets.
We might have to get Bray on the show as a regular, just so he can come through and say, "What are we targeting this week, Bray? What's on the shopping list?" All right, Nature Strip again peaks in a grand final. So where do we want to start with this? From a personal point of view, I backed Eduardo because I thought Nature Strip looked pretty poor last start, and then obviously he's just gone a little bit better than what he did previous start, and that's all it took to actually win the race. I personally hope he goes overseas. We never see him race in Australia again because it'll just make things easier. It'll be good for the narrative if an Australian sprinter wins overseas, but if he fails overseas, what does that mean for the Australian sprinting ranks? Because I'm not convinced that we've still got anywhere near the same sprinters that we had 10 years ago, let alone 5 years ago.
Well, we have about 2 or 3. Depending on if Home Affairs is completely ended after that, we have 2.5 sprinters in this country.
Yeah.
Who are they?
Well, Home Affairs is the half, and then Eduardo and Nature Strip.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm just being too old and cynical, but like, you know, this I despise this talk of grand final trainer because racing has a long and tainted history of grand final trainers. And in my lifetime, there's been a lot. They've all come and they've all gone the same way. It's I hate it. Hate the narrative around it. And I think you're right, Jacko. I suppose the question is are Nature Strip and Eduardo like just two freaks of their generation, and the rest of those sprinters would be perfectly good Group 1 winning sprinters without, you know, am I trying to making sense what I'm saying here? Have we just seen two like out and out really good sprinters and everything else is just a good
the rest
horse?
is no good, aren't they? Like overpasses run midfield here. I took above even money in an English race down the straight about a month ago.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on?
I don't know. Look, I would hate to have a slot in the Everest and trying to work out who I'm going to put in it right now. Nightmare.
First couple, and then what else do you put in?
I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Shelby 66 in case it's a heavy 15. I know it was.
I've even heard of these horses. Some of these horses. Who's Bellucci Babe? It's run fourth.
Mm.
Never heard of it.
To be honest.
Zootori's like a Flemington straight track 1200 metre throwing at the weights fluke to Group 1 type operator, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's a Group 2 1100 metre horse.
Shelby 66 winning the Galaxies. Like, if you're looking for our sprinters are no good this season statement piece, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Rule of Law, Masked Crusader, Rockin' Horse. Didn't it win down the straight at Flemington?
Yeah, it was the Glenn Boss tactical nightmare race.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, I don't know.
The tactician.
And it's so... You're looking at it and going, well, this has been like the One Autumn Carnival where every single track's been a heavy 9 or worse or whatever it's been. Like, just horrible.
Mm.
Is it really any guide to how good any of these horses are?
I don't know, probably not.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like, I know a lot of people are saying, like, that was the narrative over the last 24 hours. Nature Strip's now clearly the second best sprinter we've had behind Black Caviar. The problem is that he never raced against Haylist or Buffering or Black Caviar or Chautauqua or any of these other, like, incredibly good sprinters that were able to pull stuff out of their ass and just win because they were just hungrier. Whereas Nature Strip just seems to just turn up on his grand final and that's it, and beat a whole bunch of just, like, ragtag gallopers.
Mm.
That's all he has to do.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
And now he's the best in the world. So, yeah, I personally hope he goes overseas and gets pantsed, and then maybe we can have another think about how good our sprinters are and maybe stop retiring 3-year-olds.
That'd be an idea.
Anyway. We should retire him at 2. It'd be more fun.
Is there anything else in the world that's any good over 1,200 metres?
Don't know.
Okay.
This is the great thing about racing. Everyone's patriotic to their own bloody group of walkers, and we all hope that when they bound together on the one day that we can cheer home a winner. It's like the World Cup, except the Socceroos might probably not make it. In fact, that would be the best thing for Australian soccer, surely. If
they haven't
the
made
Socceroos don't make it. Well, they've got like that sort of weird sort of backdoor thing, but they're going horribly.
Oh, Italy hasn't qualified.
Yeah, but given how just completely cast the A-League is it any surprise that the Socceroos are no good at the moment?
I was at my first and ever A-League game last season, and there was dead set about 25 people there.
Yeah.
20 of them were betting.
That's a great call.
Oh, great for racing anyway.
Yeah.
It's good that we've got to hang on to a horse like Nature Strip because, you know, like lo and behold, if we actually celebrate a Victorian horse like a Hitotsu that goes up to Sydney and stamps itself as the best stayer in Australia, I'm anti Very Elegant. Is it running this week? Can't wait till it gets its head kicked in by Dewey.
It's so good. All right.
I'm just pissed off with that horse's figure in the Melbourne Cup. I'll never recover.
Yeah.
When it comes to data, I just like.
I've been against it its whole career. his whole career, and then just bolts into Melbourne Cup and runs that figure. And I was like, okay, well, I was wrong, but am I wrong? No idea. Absolutely no idea.
Yeah, we better move on, or I'm going to just start whinging for the next 3 hours.
Okay, let's quickly touch on Adelaide because we did preview the Manor High and Lombardo won pretty easily. But
Yeah, thanks for that.
I mean, look, none of us were really able to make a case for it, given the way that it just sort of dawdled down the straight there at Flemington. There was no real figure. And to be fair, looking at the data here, although it's performed best on the day, second best on the card was Gaze Grease, only half a length inferior to Lombardo. And again, there's not a great deal of data here to suggest that the horse is actually going that well. So if he lands back in Melbourne next start, has to be another take-on job.
Yeah, look, as it turned out, it just got like completely blessed.
Yeah.
They walked for class, and just had a better run than its main danger.
Yep.
That was the difference. Great ride too, little Spano. Got it in the right spot, won the race.
Friend of the show.
Well, it was until I potted him last week, probably. We know how precious these sports people can be. Well, every other sports person you can have an opinion on, except for jockeys.
Extra time ran quite well first up.
Yes, you did highlight that.
If anybody cares.
Not really. That's the last race I'll be looking in Adelaide ever.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't think I'll be too far behind you, Curls. But the captain's picks had a winning start. Hey, except all the wins are in Sydney, which makes me just like completely rethinking what I'm doing in my life. Ascot, there was only really one horse to focus on, Amelia's Jewel, who it was the Amelia Park Karrakatta Plate, won by Amelia's Jewel. So the winning owner, Peter Walsh, presented a trophy to himself, which was outstanding.
Good.
It's run a race record. It's not only just won the race, it's completely killed them under a handbrake. And, complete full credit because the stallion is something, I think, from France, maybe in the Aga Khan. Ciurleo.
Ciurleo.
The damn Bumpacina. So they're just gone like well and truly off the beaten track to find like a proper horse. And Jackson, like, this thing will end up over your way soon. A proper walker, outstanding type. And even after she had the rug put on her, she was just looming around the mounting yard, just controlling it, just like eyeballing nothing else that was there. Still the perfect walk post-race. She barely would have blown out a candle, I think. I don't know how there's going to be a 3-year-old that beats her in any of the feature races here later this year.
Big, strong, last 200 metres again.
Yeah, wasn't it? 15th for the meeting.
Yeah.
With and like within its own steam.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a proper horse. Look, there's nothing else to really mention there at Ascot. It was it's in that sort of flux at the moment where a lot of favourites are winning. It's probably just signalling that the track is coming towards the end of the season, although it would have been nice if it started this way because we were backing a lot of horses on speed and they weren't winning. It was all off speed and now it's on speed and there's just favourites winning, which is just not my go. Anyway, Curls, you did mention earlier the next Incentivise. What have you got?
A little bit of a stretch saying it's the next Incentivise, probably the next Spanish Mission. I'm saying that in jest. Big figure returned by the winner of race 1, Ostermeyer.
Oh.
In the 2,200 metre benchmark 78 on an off-season Saturday in Queensland. The race, I'm just going to go to all benchmark here because I was looking for class.
10.9.
Yeah.
12 for the race, negative 12 lengths quicker for the race, lead time.
Yep.
He went out casually in 10.1, still got home under to return a figure of negative 10.9. Now, if I just made some quick notes here, Zaki and Incentivise are two horses that have a better figure than it.
Right.
end of trained at Toowoomba. Alyssa and Troy Sweeney, who wouldn't have a stack of horses in work. So enormous win. I mean, the tempo was ridiculous.
And ever gone under the all benchmark in its career, in its 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 start career prior to the weekend, never gone under benchmark, and then runs a career PB by about 16 lengths. Interesting stuff.
Oh, that's, it's not unusual in Queensland with these normally these staying races are walking tempos and Ostermeyer sits back and runs on.
Yep.
He failed last start on a heavy track, but, in a genuinely run race. So that tells me that this horse can go up in class and sit sit on better speeds in better quality races. And still finish off. Yeah, well,
either
Bray buys it, sends it to, or Chris buys it, Waller buys it, or someone. We can arrange that. There's 4 or 5 Waller runners a week in these sort of milder 2,000 metre races normally in Queensland. So
just put it in any race that Spanish Mission's going to be in,
and put a nose roll on. If it doesn't already have one. Anyway, that was the biggest figure out of Queensland. That says a little bit about the state of play currently, going into the little lull period before going in the Winter Carnival. Worth noting the on-speed runners were beaten 17 to 25 lengths, respectively.
Probably understandable given the tempo they were running.
Mm.
Okay, let's wrap it up. A look at the week ahead. Now, Jackson, you've got a bet at Mornington today, a bet at Ballarat tomorrow. I did notice that Ballarat tomorrow is one of those tasty ones where it's like, I think 2 horses have had a start previously and the rest are all first starters.
Yep, and it's a Tony and Calvin Maffaboy horse, and they tend to go well at Ballarat, and it ran into jump out and gave the winner of the 2-year-old race at Bendigo on Saturday complete windburn. So I thought it was a bet. So we got those 2 bets. Don't expect to have any more for those 2 meetings. Then we're on the Lakeside on Wednesday for the first time in ages. This is the last midweek at Sandown, or the last meeting at Sandown for about a month. Kilmore, a couple of maidens there Thursday. No Mounting Yard Mail from Cranbourne Friday night. I'm headed down to GMHBA Stadium for Geelong Brisbane Lions Friday night.
Lovely.
And then, thank God, we're back in a metro track for Caulfield Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick thoughts on Geelong versus Brisbane?
It'll be a good match. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, Brisbane are competitive / win. But
what, competitive? Fucking morals, Jackson.
I haven't been to a Brisbane win in about 6 years. So
they're morals.
I would like to see a good game.
They're morals. The only team that will beat Brisbane. Well, Brisbane-Melbourne grand final, which I told you in our chat group.
You did.
I've been saying it for 3 months.
Yeah.
It's almost as almost as good a collect as a Hitotsu winning the Cox Plate for future punters.
Yes, indeed. Curls, what have you got coming up this week?
Had one bet at Queensland. One bet at Doomben today. This show should probably go out before the race. Jason Deemer bringing up an ex-Victorian horse that you guys, or Jackson, might know. It's got a name.
It's good.
Here it is. Race 5, number 4, Sensationalism.
Oh, yeah. I do know.
Did Mick Price have it?
Yes.
Anyway.
Yep.
Mick may have had it. Now, it comes to a Class 2 plate in Doomben on a Monday afternoon with 57 kilos. Brings form behind some horses you may have heard of. Foxy Frida, Stay Gold, Yonts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
First start for the Deemer yard was 6 weeks between. Ran third to Ringer Rosa on a heavy track and drops a kilo in weight to get to a Class 2 plate in Brisbane on a Monday, which is a automatic bet.
I'll give out, speaking of team Ciaron Maher Dave Eustace, Mornington race 2, number 8, Bella something. Ballastaran. Two jumped out like a jet. Gate 1 on speed, should be winning.
Got to get you right Bellas here, Jackson. Now, Kells, just before we leave Queensland, how'd you find doing the little audio previews for the subs over the last week? I watched the preview that you sent out, the preview link on YouTube. That was very good.
Yeah, it was great finding a $16 winner with our first bet and winning half a unit for the day. Frustrating. I found it a bit of a rush, actually, the audio. In those no bet races in particular, I was like waiting last minute, looking for a Waller firmer late on the fair, and found one with Gold Bullfinch or something, but it was too late. Drifted. The one I liked, Festival Prince, was like $3.50 out of $10 on the fair, and I wanted to be on it, and it's got beat a nose by the supported Waller runner. So, yeah, I was cutting a bit fine there on the audio because of that, because that's just the way I operate in those races where I haven't bet. Yep. So I'll be more organised this week, getting the preview out Thursday evening and taking advantage of that. Really, the thing I liked about it the most, Pistol, is that I didn't put a lot of time into Toowoomba and Gold Coast because I focused on Brisbane.
Yep.
And the horses that I would have backed at those two venues all got rolled as favourites. So
perfect.
I think that's the universe telling me something.
Saving. You're winning. All right, guys. We'll jump online on Thursday. We'll preview whatever's happening this weekend. Obviously, there's Caulfield and, I don't know, somewhere in Brisbane. There's the WA Derby, which will probably be another race that no one cares about. So, and luckily enough, Hitotsu's not running in the WA Derby, so, I can rest easy. But guys, yeah, enjoy the next few days. Go well. Catch up on Thursday.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Pistol.